but there is some things coming in. A new, it's a little bit, it's what I call it's a little bit further out, because some of the things that I get are, they don't land for 6, 7, 8 months. Some of the channelings that I channeled last year didn't materialize until just very recently, like weeks ago. They finally fully anchored and popped into. But I channeled them, or we channeled them, or I'm channeling with other people a long time ago, 6, 7, 8 months now. But that's one of them. The updated frequency for soul aspects. They're coming in. Channeled this back in August, actually. I channeled it with somebody. Since she's not on the call, I'll just leave her anonymous for now. But channeled it with somebody about soul aspects, soul braids, soul templates, as JJ calls them. Before, it used to just be like the way that it was defined and the way that it was taught to us for soul practitioner, MSI, is that it would come in as one like archetype. Well, that changed. It's no longer just a single archetype. So before, you would get a template and it would be 12 healers, 12 oracles, 12 seers. Typically 12 is the way that it came in before. But now what we channeled back in August, actually, 8/8 is when before 8/8, actually, as we were driving out to Colorado, we channeled that you can basically call in with somebody, with a practitioner. So I would say like that, like you would want an experienced practitioner, somebody that's certified, but somebody that has the ability. Like some of the practitioners, they don't channel, or they can't channel, or at least that I've known, some of them don't channel. They're using other methods, basically, and I don't think that that's very useful to have somebody who's like, I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but like pulling cards. Some people pull cards, some people use the pendulum. I think a pendulum is more reliable for sure than pulling cards, because I think cards are probably the least intuitive way, at least for me, to, not saying there's anything wrong with it, but if you're doing an actual integration, like a full integration, I think you should definitely be a channeler or have the ability to channel. But the updated frequency is essentially now you can call in with a MSI practitioner essentially like a custom template or a custom soul braid. So you can say, hey, this is what I'm, like, because you're a quantum creator, right? Quantum creation isn't just the words, it's actual, like, the ability to create from the quantum, from the 0 point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can basically call in a soul braid or a soul template that's customized.
那 Rose, do you think Rose soul braid and template are not doesn't belong to that soul, are not in that soul's Akashic record? Is that true?
I haven't done a whole lot of channeling on it. I need to channel it more. The custom, so anytime a template comes in, I'm not talking about the new updated frequency. A template that comes in is one archetype. It is in their Akashic. The braid, I'm not exactly sure. The soul braid, the way that he talks about it, the guy that talks about it, I would have to I think it's in the Akashic too. If you were to call in a custom template, so what I'm talking about is templates, lifetimes, soul braids, soul aspects. I'm talking a bit more. I'm talking like aspects that aren't necessarily or that aren't necessarily from the Akash. So if you want to, let's just say, because you can go into the Akashic, you can find everything out about your soul, but if you're an ancient soul, you basically have been around for the span of eternity. So technically, you could have been any archetype, right? Even archetypes we don't know about. There are plenty of archetypes that aren't represented on Earth that I've channeled.
But I think like a soul can be in other universe, but right now we can only read the Akashic record within our universe. Is that
Right,
correct?
right, but that's changing. We're able to access more of the Galactic Akashic now. So it's expanding into, I got right ear confirmation on, yeah, it's expanding into the ability to channel the Galactic Akash. Remember we touched on the Galactic Akash at Beltane last year, actually. It was the first time that we did it in our community. But that's what I'm saying. The frequency is updated, so now you can call upon archetypes and soul aspects from the quantum field, from the 0 point, and you can create a soul braid and call that in and integrate fully that braid.
But all of those soul breed that soul incarnated as that soul incarnated as those soul breed or not?
What do you mean, like the?
Like if somebody have a 12 soul breed, is that soul actually incarnated in each of those 12 soul breed?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. The way that I'm going to send you the video. The way that he describes it, they aren't full souls for the braid. He
Yeah, that's
describes them as like essentially like portions
partial.
of,
Mm.
yeah, a portion.
Yeah, I know which video you were talking about. I was just really curious about how it's working. How does it work?
Yeah, well, we're gonna channel and find out actually. um, we're gonna find out. I don't know when, but like I said, like this, the channelings that I call in are sometimes they're 6, 7, 8 months out. Um, the things that I'm channeling, and there's definitely something there to be discovered. I don't see why it couldn't be 12 full souls, honestly. I think if you have here's the limitation that I would say is you need to have your crystalline nervous system activated and online fully. I think to fully incarnate, oh, well, maybe not. Maybe not, because when we did a template, here's the difference. The template that we're talking about, that's the way that it's taught us as practitioners, it's all one archetype, right? And basically you zip file it or you line them all up and then you zip it in essentially, or you spiral it in. If you think like the way a seashell is, yeah, it's a spiral. It comes in that way. But it's all a single archetype. When we're talking more of the braid or the updated frequency of a soul template that I'm calling it, we're talking about archetypes that may not be within your Akashic. So you need to have your crystalline, your nervous system, your physical body, your mental body, and your emotional body, your spiritual body, which is your auric field, all the layers of your auric field, your spiritual body, has to be able to anchor that and has to be able to hold that. And even in that video, man, my right ear is pinging as we're talking about. Even in that video, he talks about, so he says that he's done this for like 6 billion years or something like that, that he's aware of, that they told him. This type of, this thing that he's doing essentially. And every time that he described it, he went into like a deep initiation period after that. Which isn't a problem if you're able to anchor that and ground that and hold that. The problem I would foresee from from like an ethical point of view is somebody consents to, wants to call this in, I would say like you would need to do some deep preparatory ritual, ceremony, cleansing, fasting, before you even really like think about attempting it. It isn't something that like somebody could just like pay me for and I would feel comfortable doing it. People have asked me to do it, and so far I've rejected them. I said no. I said no. It's definitely possible. I can do it. I could do it to myself first, I guess, technically, to start and see how that lands. But I don't like, people go into spiritual psychosis. Like that's real. You know what I mean? Like that is a real thing.
Yeah, I think if it's not divinely orchestrated, you don't need to get so many soul aspect. You only need the relevant soul aspect.
Right, right. This is like the updated octave, the higher octave basically that we're the updated frequency or the higher octave, higher harmonics. This is for essentially at this point, I would say exclusively just way showers. This isn't for um I feel like intuitively what's coming in and what I'm channeling is that the best way to ground it is you would need um extensive follow-up, basically, ideally in person, but doesn't have to be in person. You would need like somebody to support you multidimensionally and then psychologically as well too, to make it like ideally, like you would want to have your full quantum harmonization online, in my opinion, and you'd want to have your full crystalline nervous system online. I think you'd want to have your crystalline heart as well too. Yeah, you would want to have your crystalline heart online too, because it's about heart coherence. Everything, the most aligned way is through the heart. You know what I mean? That's the most
You're
aligned
going
way.
to have a heart attack.
No, no, I don't want to. Even when I channeled the crystalline nervous system, I didn't know at the time, we didn't know at the time that we were channeling in a crystalline nervous system. I didn't know until about 6 months later what exactly it was, and I'm a fairly gifted channeler. I'm not saying like I'm top 3 in the world, but I have extensive psychic abilities when it comes to channeling. And it took me a while to kind of figure it out exactly what was called in and why it was called in more than anything. What came through is essentially, which I haven't really shared with anybody, is that hello Leah, welcome in. What came in is essentially is that we are built for this in ways that we don't even remember at this point. And that's what we're doing in community is we're walking ourselves back towards unity consciousness together. And part of that remembrance is activating these different gifts, abilities, connecting to these places that you are, as a grid worker, you're drawn and you're pulled and you're connected to all these different places, like Egypt. It doesn't need to be Egypt. It could be like wherever you're pulled to. It could be the closest mountain that's near you, or hill. If you're in Texas, it's hill country, so there's not really a mountain. You got to drive all the way to the west, like past El Paso, to find mountains in Texas. So you got to drive like fucking 12, 13 hours across the state. Welcome in, Leah. We're just talking about an updated frequency
Ooh,
to
awesome.
I haven't gone into detail. The way I do it for our community is like once I have something, if it's a way shower frequency, I'll kind of state it like that and then kind of let it cook. And then once I have it like fully integrated and anchored, then I can like share that in like a much more aligned way. But we were talking specifically about soul templates or soul braids.
Okay.
As a MSI practitioner, basically, The way it was taught to us is that soul templates is 12 of the same exact archetype. And basically the way it works is you line them up, almost like a zip file. You line them up, you calibrate them, you zip them in, and then like almost like a seashell. If you picture a seashell, that's kind of the way it goes. But a soul braid is something different. A soul braid is essentially an updated frequency to that, where it could be a custom template, a custom soul package. I like soul package better because I don't want to cop his term, because that guy clearly he's been doing this for a while. But essentially it's a custom package of 12 different aspects. They don't need to be the same archetype. It could be healer, it could be seer, it could be oracle, it could be shadow worker, it could be an edge runner, it could be a network engineer. Archetypes that aren't necessarily from your Akash.
Yeah, I think because he needed to come to our universe to do this job, so he downloaded all those soul breed that is customer to our universe, so that
Yes.
he can work in our universe, but it's not part of his Akashic record. He only just downloaded this because he needed to work in our universe.
Yeah, I'll link the video again and drop it into the.
Very interesting, that video. Interesting in many aspects.